The silence of Deep Space Monitoring Station DSS-35 was broken by a shrill alarm. Dr. Rani Patel jerked awake in her chair, cold coffee spilling across her desk. Her eyes darted to the main display where an anomalous reading flashed red against the black background. "That's impossible," she muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. The reading persisted. A massive object had just appeared at the edge of Kuiper Belt, moving at speeds that defied known physics. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed the discovery. An object nearly the size of Earth's moon had entered the solar system, its trajectory bringing it directly toward Earth. News spread through the scientific community like wildfire, then to governments, and finally to the public. In Washington, D.C., Director of National Intelligence Marcus Chen stood before the President and Joint Chiefs, his usual composure cracking under the weight of his report. "The object is artificial, Mr. President. Its surface shows geometric patterns consistent with constructed architecture. And it's slowing down." President Isabel Santos leaned forward, her dark eyes intense. "You're telling me we have a vessel of some kind, large enough to house millions, deliberately approaching Earth?" "Yes, Madam President. And based on its current velocity changes, it will reach Earth orbit in approximately 72 hours. Around the world, humanity reacted to the news with a mixture of terror and wonder. Religious leaders proclaimed everything from the end times to the second coming. Financial markets fluctuated wildly as corporations tried to position themselves for every possible scenario. Social media exploded with theories ranging from the plausible to the absurd. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Dr. Patel led a team working around the clock to gather every possible piece of data about the approaching object. "The energy readings are off the charts," she explained to her colleagues, pointing to a holographic display. "Whatever their power source is, it makes our most advanced nuclear reactors look like potato batteries." The vessel's approach triggered an unprecedented wave of global cooperation. Ancient rivalries were temporarily set aside as nations pooled their resources and expertise. Military forces worldwide were placed on high alert, though everyone understood the futility of resistance against something so advanced. In orbit, astronauts aboard the International Space Station had the clearest view of humanity's first visitor. Commander Sarah Chen's voice trembled slightly as she transmitted her observations back to Earth. "It's beautiful," she reported, watching the massive ship's surface shimmer with patterns of light that seemed to flow like liquid metal. "The entire hull appears to be covered in what look like circuit patterns, but they're constantly shifting and changing. It's like watching a living thing." As the final hours ticked down, humanity held its collective breath. News networks broadcast continuous coverage, switching between experts offering theories and footage of the approaching vessel, now visible to the naked eye as a silver dot brighter than any star. In a secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Santos convened an emergency session of the newly formed First Contact Council. Representatives from every major nation sat around a massive table, their faces illuminated by screens displaying real-time data from every sensor array on Earth. "We've detected no weapons signatures," General Maria Alvarez reported, though her hand remained near her sidearm. "But their technology is so far beyond ours, they might not need what we would recognize as weapons." Dr. Patel, called in to advise the council, cleared her throat. "The vessel's deceleration has been precisely calculated to minimize gravitational effects on Earth. They're being careful not to disrupt our planet's systems. That suggests benevolence, or at least concern for our well-being." As she finished speaking, every screen in the bunker flickered. A symbol appeared, a complex geometric pattern that seemed to shift and rotate in impossible ways. Then, in every language on Earth, across every communication device capable of receiving a signal, came humanity's first message from the stars. "We come seeking dialogue. Your species stands at a crossroads. We offer guidance if you are willing to receive it." The message was simple, yet its implications were staggering. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, imagining everything from invasion to salvation. Now the reality was at hand, and the next few hours would determine the course of human history. President Santos looked around the table, meeting the eyes of each council member. "Well," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "I believe it's time for humanity to answer. The question is, what do we say?" The next few minutes would provide that answer, as humanity prepared to take its first steps into a larger universe. The discovery phase was ending, but the real challenge, actual contact with an alien intelligence, was about to begin. The response took humanity less than an hour to compose, though it represented the combined efforts of linguists, diplomats, and leaders from across the globe. The message was simple: we are ready for dialogue. We welcome peaceful exchange. The alien vessel, now in high Earth orbit, responded by extending what appeared to be a docking terminal. The structure materialized from the ship's fluid surface, a gleaming bridge between worlds stretching out into space. Dr. Rani Patel found herself aboard the first shuttle approaching the alien vessel, part of a carefully selected first contact team. Beside her sat Ambassador James Okonjo, Earth's chosen diplomatic representative, and Colonel Weizong, there to assess any potential security concerns. The fourth member of their team, Dr. Maya Lakshmi, was a xenobiologist who had spent her career theorizing about potential forms of alien life. As their shuttle approached the massive vessel, its true scale became apparent. "It's like approaching a floating city," Colonel Zhang murmured, his usual stoic demeanor cracking slightly in awe. The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth, guided by invisible forces that gently drew their craft into a perfect alignment. As the airlock cycled, Dr. Lakshmi's instruments sprang to life. The atmosphere they're providing, it's a perfect match for Earth's. They've been studying us for some time. Ambassador Okonjo straightened his jacket. "Remember the protocols. We represent all of humanity in this moment." The inner doors opened to reveal a corridor that seemed to defy physics. The walls flowed like liquid metal, but remained solid to the touch, patterns of light pulsing beneath the surface. As they stepped forward, a voice emerged from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Welcome, children of Earth. We are the Ascendant." The voice had no discernible source and seemed to bypass their ears entirely, materializing directly in their minds. Before them, the corridor opened into a vast chamber where they had their first view of their hosts. The Ascendant were beings of pure energy contained within crystalline forms that towered 3 meters tall. Their bodies sparkled with internal light that shifted through colors humans had no names for. When they moved, they seemed to flow rather than walk. "We have watched your species for some time." The closest being communicated, its form pulsing with each word. "You stand at a crucial moment in your development. The choices you make now will determine whether you join us among the stars or destroy yourselves." Ambassador Okonjo stepped forward. "We are honored by your interest in our species, but I must ask, why now? Why have you chosen this moment to reveal yourselves?" The crystalline being's lights shifted to a deep blue. "Because you have reached the tipping point. Your technology has advanced enough to destroy your world, but your wisdom has not yet caught up. We have seen this pattern before, countless times. Some species survive this phase. Many do not." Dr. Patel couldn't contain her scientific curiosity. "Your technology, your understanding of physics, it's beyond anything we've conceived. Are you offering to share this knowledge with us?" "Knowledge must be earned," another Ascendant communicated. "We offer guidance, not salvation. You must choose your own path, but we can help you avoid the pitfalls that have destroyed others." Colonel Zhang, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "And what do you gain from this?" "In my experience, nothing comes without a price." The Ascendant's response was unexpected, a sound like crystalline chimes that they realized was laughter. "Wisdom already? Yes, we have our own reasons. The universe is vast, but intelligent life is precious. Each species that survives enriches all. We were helped by others when we were young. Now we help in turn." Dr. Lakshmi's instruments were working overtime, recording everything. "Your physical form, It's unlike anything in our scientific understanding. Are you truly biological beings? We were, once, came the reply. What you see is the result of millions of years of evolution and technological advancement. Your species too will change if you survive long enough. The form matters less than the consciousness it contains. As the initial meeting continued, the humans found themselves grappling with concepts that challenged their fundamental understanding of reality. The Ascendant spoke of dimensions beyond the four humans could perceive, of civilizations that spanned galaxies, and of technologies that seemed more akin to magic than science. But they also showed a surprising interest in humanity. They asked about art, music, and literature. They seemed particularly fascinated by human emotions and creativity, qualities they described as rare and precious in the universe. As the meeting drew to a close, the Ascendant made their offer clear. They would establish a permanent diplomatic presence in Earth orbit. They would share some of their knowledge, but gradually allowing humanity to develop at its own pace. Most importantly, they would help humanity avoid the technological and social pitfalls that had destroyed other young civilizations. The choice is yours, the lead Ascendant communicated. We offer a hand to help you rise, but you must do the climbing yourselves. What is your answer? As the first contact team prepared to return to Earth with this momentous offer, they knew they were carrying the weight of human history with them. The next few days would determine humanity's path forward: isolation or integration, stagnation or growth. But looking back at the crystalline beings as they departed, Dr. Patel felt something she hadn't expected: hope. Perhaps humanity wasn't alone in the universe after all. Perhaps they had finally found the teachers they needed to help them reach the stars. In the months following first contact, humanity struggled to adapt to its new reality. The Ascendant established what they called a guidance center in Earth orbit, a smaller vessel that split off from their main ship like a droplet of mercury separating from a larger mass. Dr. Rani Patel found herself leading the scientific exchange team, working closely with an Ascendant she had nicknamed Aurora due to the shifting lights that danced across its crystalline form. Today, they were discussing what the Ascendant called quantum architecture. Your current understanding of quantum mechanics is incomplete, Aurora communicated, projecting a complex mathematical model into the air between them. The equations shifted and moved like living things, making Rani's head spin. It's not just incomplete, she replied, rubbing her temples. Everything we thought we knew about physics seems wrong. How do you expect us to make such enormous leaps? Not wrong, Aurora corrected. Simply limited. Like describing a mountain only by its base, because you cannot yet see its peak. Meanwhile, Ambassador Okonjo faced his own challenges in the diplomatic sphere. Nations that had briefly united in the face of first contact were now competing fiercely for Ascendant attention and technology. The morning's UN session had devolved into barely controlled chaos. The Ascendant must share their clean energy technology with all nations equally. The Chinese representative demanded. When all nations have proven they can handle such technology responsibly, the U.S. delegate countered. The Ascendant observer, a being called Helios, watched the proceedings with what seemed like amusement, its crystalline form flickering with pulses of light that the humans were learning to recognize as laughter. Your species' diversity is both your greatest strength and your greatest challenge, Helios commented to Okonjo privately. You fight because you are different. You innovate because you are different. We find this fascinating. Dr. Maya Lakshmi's xenobiology team had made their own startling discoveries. The Ascendant's crystalline forms weren't just containers. They were complex biological technological matrices that could be reshaped at will. She watched in amazement as Aurora demonstrated, its form flowing like water before resolidifying. Your own bodies are not as fixed as you believe, Aurora explained. In time, you too will learn to adapt and evolve. But first, you must understand yourselves. Colonel Zhang, now heading Earth's new Interstellar Security Division, found himself grappling with the implications of Ascendant technology. Their ships could appear and disappear at will, pass through solid matter, and manipulate gravity itself. Earth's most advanced military technology might as well have been sticks and stones. How can we maintain security when our defenses mean nothing to their technology? He demanded during a Joint Chiefs meeting. Perhaps, General Alvarez suggested, we need to rethink what security means in this new era. But it wasn't all challenges and confusion. Humanity was learning, advancing at an unprecedented rate. Solar power efficiency tripled thanks to insights gained from ascendant physics. Medical breakthroughs emerged as doctors began to understand the quantum nature of biological systems. The first human-made quantum computer, while primitive by ascendant standards, represented a leap forward of decades. Yet the ascendant remained selective about what they shared. When Dr. Patel asked about faster-than-light travel, Aurora's form darkened. Some knowledge must be earned through experience, not given freely. Your species must prove its maturity before accessing such power. Not everyone was happy with this arrangement. A movement called Earth First gained traction, arguing that humanity was becoming too dependent on alien guidance. Protests erupted outside the newly established Ascendant contact centers on Earth. Dr. Patel discovered the limits of Ascendant patience when a group of protesters broke into her lab, destroying months of work. Aurora's usually gentle glow turned harsh, almost blinding. "This is why we do not share everything," it communicated. "Power without wisdom brings only destruction." Yet even in these moments of tension, there were breakthroughs. A young artist's musical composition, incorporating mathematical patterns learned from the Ascendant, moved several of the crystalline beings to emit harmonics that humans found hauntingly beautiful. A child's simple question about why the Ascendant chose their crystalline form led to a deep philosophical discussion that advanced human understanding of consciousness itself. As the first year of contact drew to a close, humanity found itself changing in ways both subtle and profound. Children born after first contact grew up taking for granted ideas that had once seemed impossible. Scientists who had spent their careers working with certain fundamental assumptions had to unlearn and relearn their disciplines. "Your species adapts quickly," Aurora observed to Dr. Patel one evening as they watched Earth rotate below them. "Quicker than most we have guided." "We've had lots of practice," Rani replied. "Human history is one long series of adaptations to new realities." Indeed, Aurora's form sparkled with what Rani had learned was appreciation. "Perhaps that is why we have such hope for your future." As she looked down at the glowing blue marble of Earth, Rani realized that despite all the challenges and tensions, humanity was standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. They were taking their first steps into a larger universe, and though those steps might be unsteady, they were moving forward nonetheless. The crisis began with a discovery that no one was prepared for. Dr. Rani Patel was reviewing quantum sensor data when she noticed an anomaly, a distortion in space-time growing at the edge of the solar system. At first, she thought it was an equipment malfunction. "Aurora," she called to her Ascendant colleague, "could you look at these readings?" The crystalline being's usual shimmer faltered, its lights dimming momentarily. A reaction Rani had never seen before. "They have found you," Aurora communicated, its mental voice carrying an unfamiliar edge of urgency. Before Rani could ask who they were, alarms began blaring throughout the guidance center. The main Ascendant vessel, which had remained in high Earth orbit for the past year, suddenly came to life, its surface rippling with patterns she'd never seen. In Washington, Colonel John was awakened by an urgent call. "Sir, we're detecting multiple objects entering the solar system. They're using technology similar to the Ascendants, but different." The Ascendant called an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders, President Santos, Ambassador Okonjo, and other key figures gathered in the guidance center as Helios delivered devastating news. "They are the Nexus," Helios communicated, its crystalline form pulsing with dark colors. "Like us, they watch developing civilizations. Unlike us, they believe young species should be controlled, not guided. They see potential tools, not future equals. Why are they here now?" Ambassador Okonjo demanded. Because of your progress, Aurora answered. You have advanced more quickly than any species we have guided before. The Nexus believes you are becoming too powerful, too quickly. They have come to limit your development. The approaching Nexus ships were smaller than the ascended vessel but far more numerous. Their designs were angular and sharp, a stark contrast to the flowing forms of ascended technology. As they entered the inner solar system, they broadcast their own message to Earth. Your guardians have failed you. The transmission began. They offer you freedom, but freedom leads to chaos. Accept our dominion and no true order. Humanity's response was immediate and unified in a way that surprised even the Ascended. President Santos, with the backing of the UN Security Council, sent a one-word reply. No. What followed was a demonstration of power that humbled everyone who witnessed it. The Nexus ships launched what appeared to be an attack, only to find their weapons absorbed by shields they couldn't detect. The Ascended vessel responded with technology that seemed to bend reality itself. But Dr. Patel, watching the confrontation from the guidance center, noticed something alarming. The Ascendant are holding back, she realized. They're trying to protect us from the full force of the battle, and it's limiting their effectiveness. Colonel John came to the same conclusion. In a move that would later be hailed as either brilliant or insane, he broadcast on all frequencies, "This is our home. We will not stand idle while others fight our battles." Earth's combined military forces launched every satellite, missile, and spacecraft they had. The attack was primitive by comparison to either alien force, but it was unexpected. The Nexus, focused on the Ascendant, had dismissed humanity as irrelevant. That was their mistake. While human weapons couldn't penetrate Nexus defenses directly, they created patterns of interference that disrupted the Nexus ship's quantum fields. Gaps appeared in their defenses, gaps the Ascendant exploited with devastating precision. Your weapons are meaningless, the Nexus broadcasted, even as they began to retreat. But your initiative, that was unexpected. Dr. Lakshmi, monitoring the biological readings of both alien species, made a crucial observation. The Nexus, they're not just surprised. They're afraid. Not of our weapons, but of what we might become. The battle ended as suddenly as it had begun. The remaining Nexus ships vanished into quantum space, leaving behind only a warning. You have chosen poorly. There will be consequences. In the aftermath, the Ascendant revealed the full truth. The galaxy was divided between different philosophies of how to guide emerging civilizations. The Ascendant believed in nurturing potential. The Nexus believed in controlling it. Earth had just become a flashpoint in a conflict that had raged for millennia. You could have told us, Ambassador Okonjo accused. Would you have developed the same way if you had known? Aurora asked. Your response today proved we made the right choice. When threatened with dominion, you chose to fight alongside us, not cower behind us. President Santos called an emergency session of the UN. The galaxy is more complex and dangerous than we imagined. She addressed the assembly. But today proved that humanity deserves its place among the stars. We fought for our independence before we even understood what was at stake. The Ascendant made an unprecedented offer. They would accelerate humanity's development program, sharing technologies they had planned to withhold for decades. Not because humanity had proved its worth in battle, but because they had proved their character. Your weapons did not impress us, Helios communicated to the assembled leaders. Your unity did. Your courage did. Even facing powers beyond your comprehension, you stood your ground. That is what we have been waiting to see. 10 years after the Nexus incident, Earth had changed in ways that would have seemed impossible before first contact. The gleaming spires of New Shanghai reached into the stratosphere, their quantum-engineered materials defying old laws of physics. In orbit, the first human-built ships incorporating ascendant principles prepared for their maiden voyages to Mars. Dr. Rani Patel stood in her laboratory at the Global Institute of Quantum Sciences, watching her student researchers work. Some were human, their bodies enhanced by subtle biotechnological improvements. Others were ascendant youth, their crystalline forms smaller and less complex than their elders. The sight still amazed her. A decade ago, the idea of humans and ascendant working side by side as equals would have seemed impossible. They learned from each other, Aurora observed, materializing beside her. The ascendant's crystalline form had grown more complex over the years, patterns within patterns shifting in ways that still captivated human artists and mathematicians, just as we hoped they would. "Did you really plan all this?" Rennie asked, gesturing at the scene before them. "Did you know how we would develop?" "We planned nothing," Aurora replied, its tone carrying what Rennie had learned to recognize as amusement. "We merely provided opportunities. Humanity chose its own path. That path had been neither easy nor straight. The years following the Nexus crisis had brought challenges that tested both species. Earth-first extremists had attempted to sabotage the quantum engineering facilities in Texas. The Nexus had made good on their threat, sending infiltrators to sow discord among Earth's nations. Some of humanity's new capabilities had been misused, leading to accidents that reminded everyone of the responsibility that came with advancement. But each crisis had been met with increasing unity and innovation. Colonel Zhang, now General Zhang, had worked with the Ascendant to develop Earth's quantum defense grid, a network that could detect and respond to threats across multiple dimensions. Ambassador Okonjo had helped establish the Interstellar Council, where humans now sat as equals with other species under Ascendant guidance. Dr. Maya Lakshmi's work had perhaps been the most revolutionary. Her research into human ascendant biology had led to breakthroughs that allowed humans to begin consciously directing their own evolution. The changes were subtle but profound: enhanced cognitive capabilities, improved cellular repair, the ability to directly interface with quantum technology. "You're thinking about the past again," a voice said. Rani turned to see her daughter Aria approaching. At 20, she represented the first generation to grow up in this new era. Like many of her peers, she had opted for the neural interface that allowed direct communication with both human and ascendant technology. To her, the quantum realm was as natural as the physical. "Someone has to remember where we came from," Rani replied with a smile. "Otherwise, how will we know how far we've come?" An alert chimed softly through the neural network. President Santos, now in her third term thanks to life extension technology, was about to make an announcement. The laboratory fell quiet as everyone, human and ascendant alike, tuned in. "Today marks a milestone in human history," she began. "The first human-built quantum ship, the Explorer, has successfully completed its faster-than-light test flight. The stars are no longer beyond our reach." Cheers erupted in the lab, but Rani noticed Aurora's lights shifting in an unusual pattern. "There's more to this than just technological achievement, isn't there?" she asked. "Indeed," Aurora confirmed. "With this capability, humanity has crossed a threshold. You are ready for the next phase." Next phase. When we first arrived, we spoke of helping humanity avoid the pitfalls that destroyed other young civilizations. What we didn't say was that we were also preparing you for a greater role. The Ascendant's form expanded, projecting a map of the galaxy. Points of light indicated other developing civilizations, some barely beginning their journey to the stars, others approaching the level humanity had now reached. "The Nexus grows stronger," Aurora explained. "More and more, they seek to control rather than guide. We need allies who understand the value of freedom, who have the courage to stand against dominion. Humanity has proved itself to be such an ally." Rani understood. "You want us to become guides ourselves. For some of these emerging civilizations, yes. Your experience, your unique path of development, makes you ideal mentors. You understand both the fear and wonder of first contact. You know the challenges of advancing while maintaining independence." The implications were staggering. Humanity wouldn't just be taking its place among the stars. It would be helping to shape the future of other species, just as the Ascendant had shaped theirs. As if reading her thoughts, Arya spoke up. "We're ready. My generation was born into this new reality. We understand both the responsibility and the opportunity." Looking at her daughter, at the confident young humans and Ascendant working together in the lab, at the quantum ships visible through the window preparing to carry humanity to the stars, Rani felt a profound sense of pride and purpose. They had done more than survive first contact. They had proved that humanity could face the unknown with courage, adapt to radical change with creativity, and emerge stronger without losing their essential nature. Now they would help others do the same. The next chapter begins, Aurora communicated, its form glowing with approval. "No," Rani corrected, smiling. "This isn't just a new chapter, it's a whole new story." Above them, the quantum ships pulsed with energy, preparing to carry human ambassadors to distant worlds. The stars that had once seemed so far away now beckoned with promise. Humanity had not just reached for the stars. They had become worthy of them.